Perfect. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to day 3 of From Health to Happiness, this amazing, free, totally free live event where I managed to find 24 amazing, brave women from around the world to share their stories of trauma and healing. So other women around the world, or men too, can gain some inspiration from their journey and heal, learn some tools that they have from their healing journey. So that's what we're doing here. For those of you that have been here with us for the last 2 days, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for your shares, your commenting, all your really supportive comments. Like, I am blown away by all the love and all the encouragement and all the amazing comments from everybody that's watching all the different lives. We've had a lot of really incredible stories of trauma and triumph. And I love the triumph. I love the healing. I think that's probably like my favorite part, is just the amazing healing journey that the women have been sharing. I think it's absolutely incredible. So thank you for being here. Thank you all for everything once again. This is day 3, and this is the first interview for day 3. And today I am interviewing Debra. You're in New York or something, right, Debra? New Jersey? Where
New
are you?
Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Deborah's 2 hours ahead of us, so she's in New Jersey. And Debra is going to share her story today about how she found out that her husband was cheating on her, the collapse of her marriage, and she's going to talk us a little bit through her healing journey. So, Debra, thank you so much for being here and for doing this for me for this event.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to ask a little bit about, we're just going to go back to your marriage, because you were married for like 23 years, together for 25, right?
Correct.
So what was the bulk of like the 23 years of your marriage? Like, what was it like? Was it always like, was it a solid, good marriage? Tell us about your marriage.
Yeah, I thought I was happy. I thought we were happy. And I think for a lot of years we were very happy, and we had 2 children together, and we were just going through life like I think a lot of people do. We met young. I got married when I was 25, and he was the same, and we met when we were in school and law school, and we just began our life together, and I think things were good for a really long time. And I think everybody goes through up and downs in their marriage, and
For sure.
the last couple of years were probably not the greatest, but and the last year was not the greatest, but I really wasn't giving it too much thought, because after being married for 23 years and after being together for so long, I was like, okay, he's going through a phase, but I didn't really, think it was anything too major.
Right. So
And
so you were still comfortable in the last year of the marriage. You were still comfortable. And were there any signs at all whatsoever that there was an affair happening, or did you have any kind of, was there any suspicions? Did you ever stop and think at all that your husband was like cheating on you, or would have even thought about it?
I think that after the fact, and when you look back at things and you start to analyze, there's probably a part of you that always that knows something wasn't right, and then you could say, oh my God, there was this and there was that, and I think a lot of us, especially women, it's like you push things down and you want to make things good, and I feel like I was always like just trying to make everything great in our lives and perfect, and just always do the right thing. So all the signs that were there, and probably even the last couple of years when he was taking more trips and more, and not communicating enough, and I just swallowed it all, like literally, so that I didn't have to believe that anything wasn't good with us. And
Did you did you at any point think that maybe he was having, like, did it even cross your mind that that might have been a possibility?
the last year things definitely weren't right, and I confronted him once or twice with the fact that, if you don't love me anymore, then just tell me and we'll go our separate ways. If things aren't right, what is happening here? And he just kept saying, I'm broken, I'm unhappy, but I'll always love you. You're the woman I love. There isn't anybody else. So when you put your trust in someone, when you're with someone for so many years, when you share a life with someone, you want to believe them. You
Right.
truly want to believe in them and with them. And I always put him on this pedestal. I always put him before myself to believe that he was this powerful, wonderful, extraordinary man. So I think there was a part of me that knew something was so off, but
Right.
I just kept trying to believe, okay, if you're broken, if you're this, I kept feeling sorry for him instead of sorry for myself.
Okay. Well, probably in the attempt to save the marriage and to keep on fighting through till death do we part, right? I mean, your husband is broken and has admitted that he's broken, and you want to do everything in your power to try to fix it, because in fixing him, you're keeping your marriage bonds together as well. So I can see how anybody would want to do that, of course. So tell us about when you actually did find out that he in fact was having an affair.
So we ended up, I ended up kicking him out of the house because it got to the point where he wasn't communicating. He didn't want to fix anything, and he wasn't treating me correctly. And I finally said, enough. I want you, I know we're not supposed to curse on here, but I said, get the fuck out.
Right.
And, but even then he had never admitted that he had cheated, manipulated, lied. And so even after he left, and even after we, talked, I kept this air about everything where I wanted to be amicable. I wanted to keep everything above board. I had 2 children that, I always still praised him. And even in the community, my friends would be like, I'm not going to speak to him anymore. No, I said, no, that I don't want any negativity. I always want to take the high road.
Right.
And so I asked him to get counseling, and he said no. And that was really the end for me. I said, after 25 years of me really never asking for much in our marriage, and you can't even, do one thing for me, I was done. And so I decided to divorce, and he really never fought me on anything. And so we took that route. And so we ended up getting divorced, and it wasn't until after I was divorced.
Oh my God.
And still thinking this man is broken and sad, and still loving him, and still feeling sad for him, and my children still feeling sad for him. My sister ended up running into a colleague of ours, and her asking how's Debra doing? And my sister saying, well, you know how hard we're together 25 years. And he was just so sad and broken. And she's like, what are you talking about? He was sleeping with the woman from his office for the past 2 years. And
oh my God,
literally exploded. And that's when because everyone kept waiting for me to be angry. And I wasn't. I guess I was just sad. And then the anger.
Did you know? So you knew who she was?
Yeah, I had never met her because they had hired her there. But I knew who she was. I knew who she was. And
so how long were you divorced? Were you divorced for, and before you finally found out?
Like 5 months, but we had been separate. We had been apart over a year at that point. And the whole town knew. Everybody knew. When they say the wife is the last to know, believe me, the wife is the last to know.
So
when people would see me and say, oh, you're exercising, you're walking, revenge body, this, I had no idea what anyone's talking about. I was like, what?
Oh my God.
I was like, am I the biggest fucking moron that ever lived? Like, and he was sending me flowers every month.
What?
told me I will always love you. What? It
So,
was just, go ahead.
so he maintained his innocence the entire time?
Until I confronted, until I found out and
Oh my
confronted.
God. Well,
Yes.
that's crazy.
And
Wow.
so right, unless there's an issue that we need to discuss with the kids, which my kids are older now, so there's really very little to discuss. I can't believe that I spent so many years with him, and now I just will never speak to him again, unless, like I said, I'm always cordial and amicable when it has to do with the kids. And I still do believe you have to take the high road, but there was a period of a month or two where I really just, the anger was so intense that I had to read a lot of books. I had to meditate a lot. I had to process a lot of just the sorrow and the sadness and the manipulating and the lies, and just was my whole life with him a lie. And to this day, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe some of it was beautiful and wonderful, but I still haven't gotten to that point where I can think of anything with him with any goodness or happiness. And that's sad.
That is sad. So once you found out, like, I can't even imagine the anger that must have like completely consumed you. But like, talk us through, I mean, because anger is just one emotion. I'm sure you felt a bunch of other emotions beside anger. So talk us a bit about some of the other emotions that, like, did you ever feel like, oh my God, I'm such a jerk. I can't believe that was I used? Was he just using me? Am I that dumb? Like, you must have felt all of the no self-esteem, like all of that stuff. Talk us a little bit about all the feelings that you felt after you found out.
Yeah, I think I really had to, and I think this is maybe a lesson but I had to really dig deep to decide that I wasn't going to be consumed with everyone else in my small little town of, talking about me and knowing everything, and just, right, just feeling like such a fool. I think that was the worst part, is that I had always said to him our whole marriage, because we're both attorneys, and I, for some reason in that field, there's so much cheating and lying, and we had known of so many lawyers that cheated on their wives, and we had always heard these stories. And I had always said to him over the years, even when our marriage was good and I thought we had this beautiful relationship, don't ever do that to me. Don't ever disrespect me in that way. If at any point, because I understand you're at work so many hours a day when you're a lawyer. And if you do meet someone else, if something happens, like, just have the common courtesy, have the respect to tell me. I'm not some moron. I am not irrational. We never had like big brawling fights. I've never been a nagging kind of wife. Whatever he wanted to do, I was always so accommodating to, which probably to my own detriment. But I just felt like I was always such like a good wife, like such a good wife and a decent person. And to think that you could humiliate me like that, and then manipulate on top of it, when I asked so many times at the end, what is going on? And after so many years and of us building this life that I thought was so beautiful together, for you to do that, and then, right, for everyone else to know and me to be in the dark and be like such an idiot about it, I think just drove me insane. I mean, nights and nights of me just having to process and breathe and get to the point of thinking, okay, this is your new life, and this is not going to consume you. This is not going to be your story. This is not going to be the end all for you, because I had seen so many women, and either just let that be their talk and their you
And
know, they're
and it does consume them, and they become so angry about them, and that's what
right.
validates their existence. Oh, my husband, and that's their, as soon as they walk in the room, you know exactly what their whole existence is I'm so hard done by, and my husband was a douchebag, and he blah blah blah, and that's who you remember them by.
Yes, and their
Exactly.
aura and their negativity. And I said,
Exactly.
and I wasn't, and when we first separated and got divorced, I wasn't negative at all. I wasn't angry. I wasn't, and I wanted to maintain this decent relationship with him. And so I am still struggling with that part. I don't feel, he did apologize to me and I didn't accept it. I did never answered him. And I think that's the part I'm struggling with still, is that I don't feel like he doesn't deserve my forgiveness. And I mean, maybe one day I'll get to that point. I don't know. But right now, I know he wants that from me. So he feels like he can go on
Right.
and live, you know, comfortably with his life. That's what the flowers were about, and the manipulate, you know, so he could feel better about himself. And all
Good.
my life was accommodating him and accommodating people. And now I'm at the point where I think, no, you're not getting that last piece from me. You took too much. I'm not going to let it consume me and be my story. But at the same token, you're just not going to get that from me. You're not going to
I
get a
agree.
friendship, and you're not going to get that.
And he doesn't, and you don't need to do that. You don't owe it to him. You don't owe him anything at this point, really.
Right.
So is he expecting you to say, hi, John, okay, I accept your apology and I forgive you? Is that what he's actually expecting? Is like for you to do that?
I think he is
Oh my
such a,
God.
you know, now that I can see him for who he is. Yes, I think he is such a selfish person that
Wow.
that's what he wants, because all of our marriage was really about me giving at least 90%,
Yeah.
and him, you know, take
Yeah.
and I take responsibility for that too, of me giving away way too much of myself, of my power, of my everything to accommodate, to not cause trouble, to just
Yeah.
I don't
You
know
know,
why
and
I did that.
yeah, you know what? And that's a people pleaser syndrome, right? We all want to do that. I'll do anything to make you happy. I'll do anything to make you stay. Do anything to, and that's what, not just with our relationship, but sometimes even with the people in our lives that don't really fucking deserve any of that. I'll do anything, you know, because we're people pleasers and we want everybody to be happy and we just want life to be smooth. So we sacrifice every ounce of us for their happiness, forgetting about our own happiness. And then we
Right.
get to a point, I think, you know, honestly, Deborah, I think we just get to a stage in our lives. Maybe it's, for me, it was over 50. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do things that make me happy now, you know, things that bring my heart joy. And I'm not going to, there's a quote that says, I'm not going to set myself on fire to keep other people warm. I'm not doing that anymore. You know,
Right.
I'm not doing that
Right.
anymore. It's my happiness and yours, or I'm just saying mine collectively, is
Yes.
just as important as your happiness, if not more. I need to be happy first in order to show up to you as a happy person. You know what I mean? Show up to the world as a happy person. So I need to be happy first. So I'm not torturing myself for anybody else. And I think that's a lot of, sorry, there's dogs barking outside. I think that's what a lot of us women do. We torture ourselves because we want everybody to be happy, and we suffer at the end of the day, you know, we're the ones who suffer at the end of the day. We're miserable and we're not happy, and shit like this happens to us.
And
So
I think the interesting part too that I've come to realize is that our relationship really wasn't as great as I thought it was, or maybe
really,
wasn't even good, because if all I was doing was giving and all he was doing was taking,
yeah,
what really was there? It
yeah,
wasn't, it was never going to be enough. So
right, yeah,
the loss isn't as great as, you know, I thought it was at the beginning. No, I'm
right.
really not. There's not too much to miss, because he didn't really bring much to the table. He was always emotionally unavailable. He wasn't
Oh,
home a lot. So the last years were really not that special. It's just like you were saying, I never envisioned myself not with him. I never envisioned myself getting divorced. I come from, you
right,
know, two parents who still love each other, are still married 50 something years later. everyone in my family is married. His parents are still married. They still want to have a relationship with me. So everyone in my world, I just felt like, no, who am I going to be? Like even saying the
Right.
words at first, divorce, like when I started a new job and I'm divorced, that like, oh, it took
Oh,
so, it was
really?
difficult,
Oh,
difficult to say, even though
yeah.
so many people, even though when people would say it to me, I never thought twice about it, but internally it was just everything's a process. Everything's
Yeah.
a process that when other people were getting divorced, I really never thought about it, thought through it. I never realized just how difficult it really is
Well, you
to
never
go
thought it
through.
was that it was ever going to happen to you. So why would you even have to have thought about what divorce was like? Because
Right.
in your mind, it was till death do you part. So tell us a little bit. So now that you're clearly, I mean, clearly you're healed and you're, I can feel that you're a very strong, powerful, self-confident woman now. So after you found out about the affair and you went through that, I mean, the whole anger and all the other stages of grief and whatever, talk us a little bit about your healing journey. Like, what were the things, some of the things that you use, tools that you used or found to help you heal from the anger and even the feelings of like, no self-esteem and no self-worth and feeling like a loser and all that. So talk us through about some of the things that you did to heal from all that to the strong, powerful woman that you are today.
I definitely read a lot of books on just soul searching, law of attraction. I really believe in what your thoughts are your reality, and um, just to not focus on the negative at all, to just really try to be positive in your life and be grateful, and to keep a gratitude journal. I love keeping a journal every day of what is good and positive. Walking, I don't know, for me walking was like my savior whenever I just need to get outside, get some fresh air, just look at the sky and realize just how amazing my life is, that I can get out, that I can walk, that I can seize the day and realize that there's just so much goodness out there. And I also realized how much stress and um unhappiness he was really bringing to me, and I really needed to focus on myself. And I think
Good.
I think a lot of women never do that,
Mm-hmm.
and that was something that was has become so important to me, to finally accept and realize that it's okay to put myself first, even though my children have always come before everything and they still do. But even now I only do things in my life that I want to do. I really sit there, think about it. Is this something I want to do today? Is this something I want to do tonight? No, then you know what? I'm okay being by myself. I'm okay to sit home, read a book, watch a show, and
Wow.
just breathe into myself and be comfortable with myself. You don't have to run from one man to the next man or one event to the
Exactly.
next event. You have to love yourself first, or you're not going to get anywhere in life.
Exactly. And also part of healing and part of loving yourself is I feel that it's important to become more self-aware of the things that that are important to you, because just like you said, you don't have to say yes to every event and yes to going out all the time. You can stay home and be by yourself. And that's part of growing and learning about yourself, is just stay home and be with yourself. Just be alone and take in your thoughts. Read a book, listen to some nice music or something. That's very important in healing and in self-improvement, I think, anyway. So I think maybe part of your healing, because to me, just listening to you talk, I think part of healing was because you kind of disconnected from him, because you tried to maintain a friendship and then you found out what he did and then you kind of disconnected. And I think that's a huge part of healing, because I think most people, oh, we're friends, or but you sometimes you can't be friends, and you don't need to be friends with your ex. It's okay to say, you know what, we're not friends. My friends don't treat me like this. We don't need to be friends.
Right.
We can be amicable, but I don't need to be your friend. We don't need to be friends anymore. And I think
Hmm.
a lot of people think that they need to stay in contact and stay, be friends with their exes. You don't have to be. And I think that maybe your sort of little divide that you had, your disconnect, probably was a huge part of your healing process as well, because you weren't consumed in with him anymore. You know what I mean? You disconnected from him and separated yourself from all of that, which I think is probably part of something that is an important part of healing, is removing the toxicity, right? Get rid of the thing that's hurting me, and then I can move forward a little bit, one step at a time. So so I just want to close. If you had to, for any woman who's watching right now, who, is going through the same kind of trauma that, found out their husband's having an affair or whatever, if you had to give, or maybe, women who are in relationships where they just don't feel any self-love or self-worth or self-esteem, or feel like they're just a doormat, what one piece of advice, one golden piece of advice would you give to any woman right now who's hurting, who's trying to heal, who's going through, anger and hurt and pain and frustration? What one thing would you tell her to help her to get through this?
Well, I think first of all, too many women stay because they're just too scared that there's not going to be something else out there for them. And so they keep going back, they keep taking the abuse, whether it's emotional, physical, because they feel like their self-worth, they don't have enough self-worth.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is coming from the men in their life that make them feel that way.
Absolutely.
And you have to dig deep and know that you are worthy, that you have to love yourself first, and that there's always going to be a better day, that even on your worst, it is always going to get better, and that there is joy and happiness, and there are people out there that love you, your family, your friends that support you, and there's a better place for you. There's definitely, you deserve better. You deserve better than to be treated in a way that is not right for you.
I love that. And it's true. And and you know what? So many women go, oh yeah, I hear it all the time, but I don't believe it. You have to start believing that. Like you have to, and like when you said dig deep, you really need to dig deep to find that, yes, I am worthy. Find that affirmation, write it out on a post-it note, stick it on every little, your bathroom mirror, your coffee maker, your nightstand, find it and write it, and just, I am worthy. I do deserve goodness. I deserve love. I deserve to be treated with respect. I am worthy. Thank you so much, Debra, for sharing your story, for being vulnerable and sharing, and your healing journey as well. Thank you. I totally appreciate you coming on here and for taking your time to do this for me and for this event and for women around the world who may be going through the same thing that you went through. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.